So, the third episode of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 is finally here, and the reception to this episode has been controversial to say the least. This was a masterfully directed episode that uses lots of creative shots and infographics to add visual flair to an extremely dialogue-heavy episode. It completely elevates this bland exposition manga chapter into something truly unique with its direction and makes everything way easier to follow and not making the entire episode feel monotonous. Meanwhile, some JJK fans once again prove the meme about them not knowing how to read is actually true. But to be honest, in this particular episode, I'm also kind of on their side because this isn't just a normal exposition and dialogue episode. The truth is that Gege Akutami, the mangaka of Jujutsu Kaisen, made this part of the story feel very convoluted with lots of hypotheticals and over-explanations that end up making the story feel more confusing than it actually is. Obviously, the people complaining about it not being an action episode instead of talking about the execution of the dialogue are pretty stupid. But I feel like it's completely fair to have issues with how Gege handled the exposition in this chapter of the manga, and eventually some later chapters where things get unnecessarily complicated. To the people who have issues with following the rules and regulations of the culling games, the best advice I have is to not sweat about every single detail. You will be completely fine as long as you have a general understanding of what's happening, what the characters need to do, and what they need to avoid. All the exposition can be divided into two major parts. For Kenjaku's plan, a very simple explanation is that Number 1. He wants to perform a nationwide lobotomy to turn everyone in Japan into Jujutsu sorcerers and eventually the whole world. Number 2. He's gonna achieve this by merging Tengen with everyone, something that shouldn't have been possible if they managed to merge with Riko during the hidden inventory arc. Number 3. To start the fusion of Tengen with mankind, he needs to perform a ritual called the Culling Games. The details of how exactly the ritual works are not that important in hindsight. And now let's talk about the rules of the Culling Games itself. Number 1. It's basically a battle royale that's gonna take place in different colonies of Tokyo. Each colony has powerful barriers and restrictions to enforce the rules. Number 2. The players need to kill other players in order to gain points. 1 point for killing normal humans and 5 points for killing sorcerers. If a player's points don't change within 19 days of participating, then their curse technique will be removed, and that is basically a fancy way of saying that they'll die. And finally, number 3. When players reach 100 points, they can add a rule to the culling games. The rule can be anything as long as it doesn't interrupt the continuation of the ritual. Megumi and our squad wants to add a rule that allows for participants like Megumi's sister and other forced players to exit the culling games. And finally, our squad has another objective, which is finding a sorcerer named Angel who can release Gojo from the prison realm. And that's basically all the key information you need for the culling games. Keep in mind that I oversimplified everything, and there are lots of small details about the rules that I skipped over. There are tons of people who only watch JJK for the action and wouldn't like the episode regardless of what the characters were talking about. But for the people who are invested into the story, it's normal to find this massive infodump episode confusing. And the main reason for their confusion is because Gege adds details like other tools that potentially could have saved Gojo instead of presenting Angel as the only option. Note that this is just an example. While these are definitely nice details, adding hypotheticals and what ifs into an episode that's trying to explain things and make everything simpler, instead makes everything feel more complicated than it actually is. And those are my thoughts on this whole JJK drama. And now moving on to my brief thoughts on the episode. The direction in this episode truly stands out and makes you realize just how incredible of a director Shota Goshizono truly is. I'm not a fan of every single directorial choice in season 3, like Yuji vs Yuta for example, but I always appreciate the staff trying to do unique things and artsy things with the anime adaptation. He gave us a taste of what he can do in certain episodes of season 2, but the entirety of season 3 is pure and distilled Goso cinema. You can feel every episode trying to elevate the source material instead of trying to do a simple one-to-one adaptation like most action anime. Some things are obviously gonna be a hit or miss, but the entire project as a whole is something truly unique and incredible to watch. Lastly, I wanna say that the next episode is looking to be an all-timer. They're gonna adapt some of the most iconic chapters of the manga, and everyone is hyping it up as the highlight of this entire season. I really can't wait any longer for the episode. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed the video, comment down below if you have any questions about the culling games and I'll try my best to answer. And finally, consider subscribing for more anime and Jujutsu Kaisen content. Peace.